Fast forward, more cover and watch on the social and small say has a cover joint. Podcast or say training big ways make headlines and a gym rate na EDB exomo LRC and EDM near Brazil say and the AD can ambassador so bit subscribe to the channel. But money also bit my head on notification bell share na for front so answer into me and can be. Make sure so bit me leave a comment under the comment section na a bit me abuan so I'm a bit me a pa. At this point in time, Yamonra Yensimu.
So quickly, we would like to address the issues that were raised by the NDC during a meeting with the Electoral Commission on the 6th of September 2024. 5 issues were raised by the National Democratic Congress during this meeting. And as Madam Chair said, during the meeting, we requested for, they had a presentation and they showed us the issues. And we requested that these issues be sent to us with the guarantee that within a week we will investigate all the issues that have been submitted by the National Democratic Congress and give a report of our findings to them. Even though we knew that most of the issues that they had raised are issues that have already been dealt with, it was important that we see it is important that we address the issues that they've raised so that we assure them that there are issues that we've seen, we've addressed, and they are no longer issues. So we requested for information from them. Unfortunately, the information has not been forthcoming, and therefore it made it difficult for us to interrogate the issue, to assure them that the issues have been addressed. Be that as it may, we would like to take the issues that they brought one by one and address them. Fortunately for us, the presentations that they did for us is in the public domain, and therefore we are able to pick up some of the samples that they brought and use them to address the issues that they've raised. So the first issue that they had, which they labeled as observation number 1, was that we had deleted 3,957 voters from the register. Now this deletion, they said, was due to transfers. In our minds, we can't see how you can delete somebody by transferring them, because transfers are allowed. So you can't delete somebody by transferring them. I also like to say that the way the voter management system is designed, and indeed ADIS, once you get registered onto the system, you cannot be deleted. You are there till eternity. You can only be on one of the 3 lists that I've already told you about: the valid voter list, the exceptions list, and the multiples list. You cannot go anywhere else. You don't get deleted. You are there. And so nobody can be deleted, and certainly nobody can be deleted by a transfer. Now, they gave an example, and this was a gentleman who they said had been deleted from the register, Mr. Ofori Ernest, and could not be found where he's supposed to be, and they gave evidence for it. Also, I'd like to say that we keep a record of every transfer that is done, and the record is very detailed, all the way down to the second that transfer was done, who is involved, where you were transferred to, which people approved the transfer. So that record is there. No matter where you go, if we want to trace where you have been, we know exactly where you have been and who initiated that transfer. So if you look at the first allegation of the alleged deletion of voters from the 2024 register, as I have said, nobody gets deleted from the register. Once you are on the register, you're on those 3 lists. And we've already said that transfers are legitimate and permissible by law. The reference case that was given, that was said to have been deleted, is actually on the register and has been transferred to a new polling station, D040204. The name of the polling station is BAJHS Mite, which is in the Volta region. And this transfer occurred on the 14th of June 2024 at 3:21 p.m. So the record is there. It's not a doubt. It's verifiable. We went on further and looked at the transaction history of this particular voter within our database. He was enrolled on the 27th of July 2020 at 10:19 a.m. at the True Vine Preparatory School, JHS, New Boyman, with polling station number C150704. This gentleman, on the 22nd of October 2020, at 4:35 p.m., registered for special voting and was moved to the Achimota College Police Station, C1502 SPS. That is a special police station that he registered for him to take part in special voting. On the 4th of January 2023, the system will do a reversal. Now, the reversal that the system does is because special voting is not permanent. And therefore, when we finish the election, the system will reverse you back to where originally you came from. And therefore, once again, this is not an illegality, but it's a system process that has been executed. Right? And so, on the 14th of June, he himself decided that he was relocating and therefore transferred to DAJHS Mite. And it's a legal transfer. There are no qualms with it. Now, when you look into that same individual, is there. It's listed there as the police station. He's not been deleted. He's where he's supposed to be. If you look at the register there too, there he is in the register. Once again, he's not deleted. He's there where he's supposed to. If you look at the transferred votes, you see there he was transferred to from, and this is where originally he was. This says relocation, and this is the name of the individual. So once again, this is not a deletion, it is a transfer. And so you can't say that a voter has been deleted, right? And to prove that all, here is the actual form that the individual filled. And this is the actual hard record, paper record of the individual. He filled it, he signed it, that is his signature. So this person has not been deleted. This person has transferred. You can't say that somebody has transferred and therefore is deleted. It would have been good if we had all the other data, the 3,500 and I'm sure would have confirmed that all these things were correct and properly done. Unfortunately, we don't have it, so we can't speak to it. We can only speak to what we have available. But if indeed this is a sample, then it's fair enough for us to extend this and say that all the 3,957 so-called voters were not deleted and they are actually in the register and have probably done transfer by themselves. But let's carry on. Still, don't worry, you have access to it later. You have access to it later. Okay. So, same on observation 1. They also gave us 5 voter IDs. That's the claim had been deleted from the register. So, fortunately, the voter IDs were there, so we could search for them. So that's exactly what we did. We searched for them. And so these are the alleged voter IDs. These people, we don't have a record of them having been transferred. And you know why we don't have a record of them having ever been transferred? Because in order for you to be transferred, you have to be a valid voter. If you are not a valid voter, remember the processes that I described to you. You have to go to the police, to their registration center, be verified biometrically before the transfer can occur. If you don't do that, the transfer doesn't occur. Okay? Now, these individuals that they listed as having been deleted by transfer, there's no record of a transfer for them. What we found out was that these individuals had corrupt biometrics, so they were never in the register in the first place. And therefore, how do they get transferred? So once again, it's weird that they will be said to have been illegally deleted by a transfer, when indeed they weren't even available for a transfer. And I'm sure that if we look at all the other IDs that were submitted, we'll probably come to the same conclusion. It will interest you to note that these corrupt biometrics actually came from the same kit. The kit number GN1297 was where the registration occurred, and it was an offline registration. Remember, I said offline registrations are prone to some of these problems. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, nobody has deleted anybody. These are issues that have arrived. And prior to this, we had a list of all the individuals who had corrupt biometrics. And the commission had taken a step right down to the district level and had committed resources to get people to go and find them. Fortunately, we had some of them, we had their telephone numbers. So we could call them and ask them to come for inclusion. And this is because their biometrics were corrupt. It's not that they've been deleted. It's a biometric register. If you don't have biometrics, you cannot be on it. So nobody has deleted anybody. So observation 2 says that 2,094 voters were transferred to different polling stations, but do not exist on the absent voter list. And examples were given. A case reference was given. The ID number of the voter was 224402410. Now, the person currently now is in the central region in Methodist Church, Ubunche. Pardon me, I may not get the spelling right. But transferred from Uti region, from Church of Pentecost, Chinderi. And we have the record of it. We've looked at the absent voter list that was submitted to the political parties, and indeed the absent voter list that was sent to the polling stations, and we can confirm that the absent voter list for that particular polling station was empty, and it was a correct observation. They had correctly picked up that there was an error, but we ourselves had already picked up that error, and a new list had been generated and sent to the various polling stations that were affected. Once again, remember that it is a process. We have systems, several systems querying the same databases. Sometimes errors occur in transit. And there are some of the errors that they've said that you see that there are data that is missing, but it's a human institution and errors occur. And so we are able to pick this up and fix those issues as they come. So I can confidently tell you that we have regenerated those registers and sent them back earlier on in the registration process. What you are seeing now is our register viewer, which gives us a panoramic view of everybody that is in the register. So we've zoomed down to this particular polling station, and the individual that they reference here now, as you can see, together with all the other people who should be on the absent voter list, are there. And this is evidence that the issues that were raised, notwithstanding the NDC reporting it, things that we detected ourselves have been fixed. And if you look at the current register as it stands now, you will see that a lot of the issues have been fixed. It's an evolving process that will culminate into a final voters register, and therefore we should allow the processes to work. Observation 3, which says that previously transferred illegally, the previous transfers were illegally added to the 2024 transfers. I think that the commission has already admitted to the fact that the transfers that were given, the transfer voter register that were given, contained much more than the numbers that were expected for the 2024 registration period. And I believe that Deputy Chair Dr. Bosman had even said this on the 2nd of September. It was inadvertently added, and what it did was that it added all the transactions, the transfers transactions that had occurred from 2020. So you had much more. And if you take a critical look at the transfer registers, you see certain narratives like reversal of special transfers, because they are all considered one transfer or the other, but there are different categories of them. In generating them, all the transfers were added, including those from 2020. So you had 2020 transfers, you had 2023 transfers, you had 2024 transfers that were added, including even special voting was also added to it. This as was said by Dr. Bosman, had been detected and the error had been corrected. So the new voter register that you are going to get will contain only transfers that were done for the 2024 season. Be that as it may, because of the uproar that was associated with it, the commission then went a step further and did further auditing of the transfer register. Basically, what was done was we asked all the paper records of transfers that were done to be reconciled against what was in the district viewer, so that we are sure that one for one, if you did do a transfer, you are in there. Obviously, we did encounter some problems in the sense that sometimes the transfers were not complete, once again because of the network errors that we encountered. But those ones during the exhibition period, they were corrected. So it was a good exercise that was taken to ensure that those who had transferred their votes indeed will be where they are supposed to be on election day. Having also said that, we've also ensured that all the transfers that were done are legitimate and they are accurate. And so the absent voters list and the transfer voters list for the 2024 period will only contain those that were done for the 2024 period. Now we come to Pusiga, and I'm sure for those of us who have been listening to the news, we are aware that there are issues with transfers that occurred at Pusiga. These were reported to us by the regional director that 38 voters had been illegally transferred from Pusiga. And as I have said, this occurred because the electoral commission's own staff took advantage of a vulnerability that was in the system, and that vulnerability was the absence of a liveliness check. And so him, as the narrative goes, in collusion with some other people, used the voter ID card, the picture on the voter ID card, to verify the individuals and do a transfer. Be that as it may, because our systems work, we were able to verify that indeed spoofing had occurred. And we've been able to pick up and confirm that indeed all the 38 people that were involved, whose transfers were done through this method. What have we done, having seen this discovery? The first step that we did was to ensure that we plugged that vulnerability. Fortunately, the technology has now matured such that it can be deployed into production use. So now we have made sure that facial verification now has a liveliness check put in place. We didn't stop there. We've also now implemented the liveliness check on our voter verification devices, our biometric verification. Indeed, you can't take somebody's picture, use the BVD to do verification, because now that is firmly built into the BVD as well. So we have plugged that hole. Subsequent to that, all those transfers that have been done have been reversed. So all those transfers that were done illegally have been reversed, and the perpetrators have been dismissed by the commission, and the police continues their investigation into the matter. We have not taken this matter lightly, and yes, so we have not taken this matter lightly at all, because once again, if it's happened somewhere, it is possible that it has happened elsewhere, and therefore we've engaged our service providers, and we are developing tools once again that will go through the system thoroughly to check and be sure that the same nefarious act has not been committed again. And by the end of the week, that report would be ready. But rest assured, the commission is not taking this thing lightly at all, and we are making sure that we are making the systems better. There is no system in this world that is foolproof. For those of you who use even applications like Microsoft Office or even Microsoft Windows, periodically updates are issued. Why are updates issued? Updates are issued because it's supposed to block a vulnerability or it's supposed to fix a problem. And we as a commission, we are not static. We are constantly evolving. And we are hypercritical of ourselves. So we are looking at ways of improving the systems that we have built, both with our service providers and our software vendors. So rest assured, this issue is being given the best attention that it can get. Observation 4 says that about 15,000 unidentified transfer paths. Once again, we are not clear what is meant by path, because all the transfers are documented, and it is not the commission's business to understand why somebody wants to transfer their vote, for so long as they are doing it in the proper way. So we do not understand what is meant by unidentified transfer path. But be it as it may, we went ahead and looked at the samples that they had given us. So in their presentation, there were 4 ID cards that were listed as people who did transfers, and there was no clear identified path for the transfer. We looked at them, and we can confirm that these ID cards, these ID numbers, that they said there was no clear identified path, had all done registrations or transfers as the time that we have listed there, and from what police station to the other. So these were legitimate transfers that were done. So we do not really understand what they mean by you can't identify the pathway of the transfer. So I will take one of them as a reference and show to you that indeed, if we want to identify the pathway that they undertook to get to where they are now, we can. So this is for voter with voter ID 47280266669. You bear with me that this is the picture. This is one of the pictures that has been listed as having an unidentified pathway. Now, as I've said, we record every transfer. Every transfer that is done is recorded, and it's recorded on 2 systems. It's recorded on our automatic biometric identification system, and it's recorded on the voter management system. So we have 2 records to compare at any point in time to confirm that a transfer was actually done. And in ABIS, we actually keep a picture. If it's a picture that you are using for the transfer, a picture that was taken at the time that the transfer was done to confirm, and that is what is used to do the one-to-one matching. So if you look, this is the picture of the voter on the card, same picture here, and this is the picture that we have on record. Down here, you have the fingerprint of the individual. If the individual had used their fingerprint for verification, here you will have the verification listed here, together with the score, the hit score, to show that it is indeed the person. And here is the picture of the individual that did the transfer. So this transfer was not done in a vacuum. It was done by an individual, and there's evidence to show that indeed she presented herself to do that transfer. So the path is there. So we do not understand what is meant by there's no clear or there are unidentified paths towards a transfer. To give you further evidence, this is the transaction from our automated biometric identification system that gives you the details of everything that was done, right down to the second that verification for transfer was executed. And once again, this data is available for verification. And I assure you, all the 330,000 something who did transfers, we have all their records available in our system for verification.